Hey, what is going on, everybody? Invisible Boilon here for another video on Marvel Strike Force. Hopefully in a few days I'll have this resolved. My new cam is in transit and almost into Canada according to the tracking details, so some good news there. But today I want to talk to you all about the craziness that is the Mystic Gear Crunch. But in particular, I want to relate this to the upcoming Darkhold team and exactly how much gear that you're going to need to make sure that you have saved for this and what I'm currently doing and considering to fix this problem. Now, if you're a mid-game player, you may actually have a lot of this stuff, especially Superior Basic Catalyst if you have a narrow roster and recently completed Dark Dimension 3 or 4 and, didn't really use all of it yet, so that's great. But for veteran players, I think we're all definitely feeling the crunch here on Orange Gear, and possibly even worse for those of you who may have invested in some Alliance War characters. So I have a spreadsheet table prepared for you all to discuss how bad things really are, and I want to relate it to some things in the game and what new farming methods that I've been undertaking to make sure I got the gear I need for when the rest of the characters are released and unlocked. Also, a bit of a long shot here, but I thought I would mention this on my channel. If anyone has an extra key code for Microsoft Office 365 that they're not using and would be either willing to sell to me discounted or anything like that, please get in touch because I just ran out of this and I'm on my new PC, which is going to make spreadsheeting a little bit more difficult in the immediate future. But anyways, without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Okay, so, I mean, obviously, for those of us in heavy Mystic Gear Crunch territory, I think it's probably because we invested in Dark Hunters, but I don't actually regret doing this. So, I haven't taken them super far, but I have been a bit cautious about what I'm doing. So, I have my Dark Hunters up here. Yeah, Dark Hunters, sorry, not Darkhold. Yeah, I have my Dark Hunters up here. So, I've been raising them for the Scourge event, but this kind of... I wouldn't say it's exasperated a lot of my SBC crunching, but it has kind of made some issues when it comes to my Mystic Gear total. Now, I have Ghost Rider here at Gear Tier 14, Dr. Voodoo at 14, Elsa at 14, and Morbius at 15. Now, where the issue really becomes is actually that jump from Gear Tier 14 to Gear Tier 15, because the amount of SBCs that you need is significant. Like, that's 60 right there, but then you need 4, so that's actually 240 SBCs just for this piece for Ghost Rider, right? So that's quite a bit. And then if you count like all of the SBCs that you need per piece, realistically Gear 15, accounts for a significant portion of that. That's 60, and then 60 times 7, that's like 420 just for this gear piece right here. So Gear 15 pieces actually, are a significant chunk of the total SBCs. And, if you saw the number, I'm down to about almost 6,000 SBCs. Now, when we take a look at the table for Darkhold and how many SBCs and other catalysts that you're going to need, Health Catalyst is another one too, because they're often used quite significantly, and I would say Focus Catalyst as well. So depending on where you landed with your Dark Dimension rewards, you may have more of some than others. I have about 3,400 Focus. I would say Focused and Health Catalyst are among the top 2 used for characters, and for that reason I've been doing other things in order to accumulate them. Where you might also run into problems actually is the Arcane Powder. So believe it or not, because you need 10 per one of these things instead of 5 and 3, you're using a significant amount more of Superior Arcane Powder than you are using any of these other 2 other pieces. So as far as Origin Gear goes, you need a lot of this Arcane Powder, and we're going to see that when we look at my spreadsheet. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking my Dark Hunters to Gear Tier 15 more than what I've already done. I took Morbius to 15, but I don't know if the others are going to make it. Now, I really want to perform quite well in the Scourge event because I want to make sure that my Morgan gets at least a 4-star. I would love to get a 5-star, but I don't know. My Web Warriors are pretty high as well, so I really wanted to have both teams prepared for this. But, what you end up doing is, maybe if you guys haven't invested in Dark Hunters at all, you're going to be in a little bit better shape than I am, possibly. But I haven't upgraded my Scarlet Witch yet. She's still sitting at Gear Tier 12, level 65, and that's just how things are going to be for a little while anyways. So from here, and of course I haven't unlocked Strange Heartless yet. I didn't buy him, I didn't unlock him early, so I haven't started to invest in them yet. So when we start taking a look at how much gear I need, it's all going to be considering orange category, so like Gear 13 through 16. I actually have some teal gear stuff in there as well. Not super important, but some of the Tier 16 pieces require orange, G14, and 15, so there is some SBCs that actually still are relevant to the Gear 16 category, and we'll see like who are the more expensive characters as well. So we're going to jump on over there. This is my Darkhold. We're going to zoom in a little bit as well. This is what I call my Darkhold G13 to 16 requirement table. And where I have the highlights, those are like where I'm crunching really hard and where I think you really need to be careful about. So I have all 5 of the characters here, Morgan through Scarlet Witch, and you can kind of see on the top, yeah, my office is, my spreadsheets are disabled right now. So good thing I did this before it actually went bust. But yeah, I need to activate a new copy of this before I can actually do some more work. So maybe there is someone out there that could help me out with that, but otherwise, yeah, get in touch. If you can, get in touch with me on Discord, and that would be much appreciated. But otherwise, let's take a look. So we know that Morgan, a lot of the characters actually, especially when it comes to the origin gear, kind of uses up the same amount of stuff. But when you add it all up together, and this is largely for gear 15, but there is a little bit of gear 16 orange gear in here as well. It's a huge number. G14 minis aside, is also another thing. You know, I've been farming this daily, and we're going to get to that in a little while, you know, where the places that I'm kind of doing more to get Mystic Gear than I did in the past. But just take a look at some of this, and, you know, pause it, you know, if you need to, and take a look at the table. This table will also be available on my Discord channel, where I kind of post resource information there as well. But the SBCs, you know, a lot of it for Morgan and Scarlet Witch. Believe it or not, Scarlet Witch is a super gear-heavy character, especially in the SBC category, but also, well, maybe not so much in the origin gear piece. But yeah, it's... Actually, I don't know why that's 60 and 72. Oh, sorry. This is the G14 category, and this is the G15 category. Shouldn't record at nighttime. But SBC is definitely a lot of amount there for Scarlet Witch. Morgan being the first one, Scarlet Witch being the second. Agatha and Strange kind of being, you know, kind of low, 1680. But you can see the average is somewhere around where Wong is at in terms of 1800, 1900 SBCs per character. So if you add up this all together, it's 9,480 SBCs that you need to gear all of the orange stuff for the Darkhold team. So because this is an arena meta team, this is something that you're definitely going to want to do, right? You're going to want to upgrade them as high as you possibly can, which basically means all the way to gear tier 15, possibly to gear tier 16 on certain characters. Definitely for like Morgan and Evil Strange and possibly Agatha. These are characters that you're going to want to consider for gear tier 16 for your arena, but also for elsewhere. So it's a lot of stuff to consider. You know, SBCs, I have, if you guys remember, I think I had about 6,000. So I'm about 3,500 SBC short. And if I were to upgrade any of my Dark Hunters any further, I would be definitely in hot water. And so that's part of the reason why I've decided not to. Even with the other catalysts, it's about 2,000-ish across the board. And why I put a yellow on health and focus is because, again, those are kind of the two more important ones. Despite, you know, the equal numbers here in damage and actually resist being higher, resist and armor are almost never an issue for whatever reason, just because you don't usually consume that much. Damage is, I would say, third priority here, but health and focus tends to be the most. And for the powder, this is the top orange origin gear piece, and you really need to be careful about this one. So the superior arcane powder. How many did I have in my game? Let's pivot back really quick and see. We'll just tick Dr. Voodoo here, and I had about 1,540. Okay, so I'm almost 1,000 short of arcane powder to get all of my orange gear requirements for Darkhold. That's not good. That's not very good. And it's a bit of a problem. And so with the G14 minis, which is about 360 total of each, by the way, not like 180 each. This is 360 across both the pieces. Not counting the other one. This is the main one. So when I'm talking about Gear 14 minis, I'm talking about Celestial Lattice, and I'm talking about the Shogoth Iker. Typically, you would have quite a bit of this, but you don't need anywhere near as many of the sigils. So this is probably not going to be a problem. But where it's going to be a problem is the Iker and the Celestial Lattice. So 138, 151, I need 360. So I basically need another 200 of each of these. The Gear 15 minis, I put it in yellow because it really depends on you. But as far as, you know, that, I don't feel like I'm in as bad of territory. I have 431 of the Psionic Essence and 228 of the Mythic Geodes. I need a little bit more of these, and I am farming these as well. And so I want to kind of go over that part there. So G15 minis, not as bad as, I think G14s is the worst. And the reason why that is because Gear Tier 14 is when you get the stat bumps. You get a very large stat bump to your characters, usually in the realm of 20 to 25% of your character stats, whereas the stat bump, from 14 to 15 is not as large as it is from like 13 to 14. So a lot more of your characters, or, for veteran players, probably are Gear Tier 14. You may have left them there depending on where you use them, but Gear Tier 14 is such a huge stat bump that's more commonly taken to than 15. It also requires less SBCs overall to go to 14 than it does to 15. I just want to do a quick, shout out to Gear Tier 16. I know that we're not really in the realm of, being able to do this for a lot of characters, but there's something to keep in mind anyways. Mostly to do with the origin gear. Again, it's less to do with this stuff. I think the catalyst is less of an issue for teal than it is for orange, but 1200 for the arcane powder for teal, 1000 glyphs, 800 vials, and then 288 minis. I mean, I think this is going to come over time. I think the very first character that I'm going to upgrade to Gear Tier 16 will be Morgan, and then after that I'll kind of evaluate as the team comes out and who I feel are kind of the best ones to use there. So the second part of the video here, I want to talk about what I'm doing now to kind of make up for this. What am I doing to farm that's different than before? And the first thing is changing my priorities for Doom War farming. So lucky me, I recently maxed out on Capsam, so I'm not having to farm his node anymore on 2.6. What I am doing though is I'm moving away from certain nodes on Doom War 4. So what I am not doing anymore, I'm not doing 4.6. So this alleviates some energy here. I mean, the teal ABCs are good, but you're getting a lot of these in milestone events, so I don't think you really need to farm this as frequently. What I am still doing though is like 4.8, because that's a Mystic mini, and I think I'm still doing like, if I have extra energy, I'll do 4.7 and 4.5 because they have focus and damage. And after that, I would skip 4.4 unless you really need the bio minis here, and then 4.2 because it's armor, and you don't really need that again unless you really need that skill mini. So the ones that I am doing though is 3.8. Now this is the other G15 mini alongside 4.8, which is the other with both of the G15 minis, so 4.8 and 3.8. This is the Mythic Geodes. I'm doing this when I get more energy, because that's really important to do as well. And the other one I believe is here, 3.4. This is Shogoth Iker. Definitely would put 100 energy in here, and then the other one is in 1, actually. Doom War Chapter 1 here. It's way back here, the Celestial Lattice, so that's a 1.5. So if you don't have these nodes at 3-star, I definitely recommend you doing it and farming this every single day, because I guarantee you that you're going to need them. And I guarantee you that you're going to run into problems when it comes to Mystic, whether or not you're gearing Darkhold or Dark Hunters or both, because there's going to be a huge crunch. If you've not already hit it, you will eventually hit this Mystic gear crunch because there's so many characters. But I think they're kind of important to build. Some people might argue with me about whether or not the Dark Hunters are actually worth building, but I think they are, because I think if you want to compete in the Scourge event, I think you're going to want to have them. I don't think personally the Web Warriors on their own is going to be enough in difficulty 6. Especially if you want to add more Scourges and score better, you're going to want both teams. So other things that I am doing, though, of course, to add, to make the difference for the SBCs and the gear. I'm not buying it, actually, from the store. Do not buy this. It's a terrible waste of gold. Even though I need it, I'm not going to spend 240k gold for 20 SBCs. I personally don't think it's worth it. There's so much more things that you need gold for that I just really wouldn't do it at this time. But other things that I am doing is currently in the Cauldron store. I know this is temporary. I am buying Mystic G14 minis when they appear. Not the sigils, but the other ones that I'm kind of low on. I have been buying those from the Cauldron store temporarily. So that's definitely something I would consider doing if you don't have very many. Now, other things that I am doing though is I'm buying the SBCs from the Blitz store, believe it or not. I have like 290,000 Blitz credits, and I am not opening the orbs because I don't really need to, so I'm spending, I believe it's 2,500 credits for 5, which is not very great, but I feel like I'm that crunched that like every little bit helps. And later on this week, I'm going to do a video about an SBC calculator to kind of showcase like how many SBCs that you get on a weekly or monthly basis. It would be quite interesting to see, and I think that if you add in the Blitz store, if you do this like 3 times a day, that's going to be, if you can keep up with that anyways, that's going to be 15 SBCs a day, and it's really going to add up actually on a weekly and monthly basis. Other places that I'm doing, the supply store, anytime SBCs show up in the raid store, and anytime health and focus catalysts appear, I don't know why I didn't buy that. As long as that keeps up, I have about 700,000 raid credits as well. I would prioritize getting the SBCs. I also have been buying arcane powder, specifically superior arcane powder out of here. So do that if you need to. Of course, make sure that you're opening all of your orbs, your orange gear raid orbs, your orange elite orbs, anything that might give you orange gear, mystic gear, whatever, SBCs, do that. And so on that note, I am not using my war credits on orange stuff for that. It's not a good value here for SBCs in your war store. I personally wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't even really do the origin gear either. I feel that 1700 war credits for 10 is not very good value. G14 minis as well. I'm not... 4 for 1200. I'd rather just buy it out of the store for gold. It's actually quite a bit cheaper there. You can get like 10 for 20k, or sorry, 10 for 200k, and I'd probably do that at that point. 20k gold for one. I'd rather do that than spend my war credits personally. But here's what I want to end with, and it's these orbs, right? These orange gear war orbs 1 and war orb 2. Now they actually drop a significant amount of SBCs. But it's not guaranteed, and you're actually going to get better value here out of the orange gear war orb 1 if you need G14 minis and you're okay with missing out on G15 minis. So which orb that you prefer to buy is really going to come down to you, and going to come down to whether or not you need more G14s or G15s. Now, I know what you guys are going to say, Boilon, as soon as you blow your orbs, that you're going to have a teal gear orb appear. That might happen. I actually don't think it's going to happen. I think that at this point, we've been waiting for so long. I feel like it's not going to happen. I feel like it's going to be related to Cosmic Crucible, which hasn't happened yet. But, you know, it could, right? You know, but I don't think the amount of value that you're going to get out of that is going to be so crazy. And frankly, I'd rather have my Darkhold characters built than be sitting on all this elite credits and spend on teal gear when I can't even get through to gear tier 15 on my Darkhold. So I just want to kind of show you guys like what you get out of this, because you can get quite a few SBCs. Now the common drop is like 30 on the side, but you can get as high as 60. You're also getting anywhere from 3 to 6 G14 minis guaranteed, and some uniques on the side. So if you need some more tempered osmium, then that can be a thing. So on the side, yeah, 50. Actually, you can get a 60 pull. At least I thought you could. Maybe it's in the center. I don't know. So that one orb gave me 80 SBCs, and that's pretty good considering I said I was short 4,000 or whatever I said. So this is kind of what I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing. There we go. We got another one. So another 50. So, I mean, I pulled what? 3 or 4 orbs? How many? And I got 160 SBCs. Like, that's a pretty good way forward for what I'm looking for. And I think that was only actually 3 orbs. So that was some pretty good value. Now, that was probably pretty lucky. But again, you know, 30 on the side. So it seems fairly common to get 30 SBCs. And this is going to be really important. There we go. I got 60. So 60 in 1 orb. So there's some pretty good value. And unfortunately, for those of you who have been hoarding your Elite War credits in hopes of a teal gear orb, I think, honestly, if you're SBC crunching at all, I think you're going to have to do this. Because this is probably the fastest way. Fastest for those who've been hoarding, anyways, to get SBCs. Because, again, let's pivot back to the spreadsheet really quick. I need 9,480, and that's to get all my orange gear stuff for the Darkhold team. I'm at 6,200. So I need another like 3,300, right? And so I think the only way to get this on demand in time within the next month is going to be opening up these orbs for more SBCs, frankly. But let me know in the comments down below what you think you're going to do, your strategy. I've kind of mentioned some things here that you can do, whether it's opening your your Elite War credit orbs, because that's going to be really important depending on if you need G14s and 15s. There's also the same chances for superior uniques in both, so that's pretty good there as well. And then make sure that you're buying some of these in the Blitz store and the Raid store, because I think it's really going to add up, and it's going to be really important for the long term of the Mystic Gear Crunch, because there's so many characters that need to be built, and we need to get ready because it's around the corner. You know, some of them are already out, and more are going to come out soon. So you need to make sure that you have enough gear. They're really important to build. Whether or not you gear up Dark Hunters or not, that's entirely up to you, but Darkhold needs to be built because they're an arena meta team, which is super important to the progression of your account and to your roster, because power cores are everything. And so that's where I'm going to end, everyone. I hope this was helpful, and until next time, of course, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon, Invisible Boilon signing out!